Hello, this is Corey with Creative Habitats Landscaping, reviewing my ideas with you for dressing up the Humane Society where the cats hang out. So in doing this design, these were my objectives. 1, increase aesthetic appeal. 2, definitely make this easier to maintain by reducing the need for pine straw and bush trimming. Make this as cat friendly as possible. And then lastly, can we make this a more inviting atmosphere? So this is the culmination of those ideas. This is what I've done. I've removed the bushes that are around the sign and then just added in simple perennials. All of these are bulbs, which means that they're very, very hardy. In general, a bulb is something that, and I know this from experience, you could put it in a plastic bag, leave it on a gravel road for 3 months in the summertime, come back and then replant it, and life is good. So that's one of the reasons why I've chosen more bulbs in here, because they're extremely sturdy and easy to maintain. One of the next objectives was to create some more interest for the cats. In doing that, I've added a number of flagstone boulders, and I'll show you what those look like in real life in a little bit, as well as just some other boulders in here for them to climb on. Looking at this, the tower, it seemed like they liked a high place to go, and we tried to create a little bit more of that type of interest for them. From what I can tell with looking at this from overhead, this is a hot side of the building. In other words, the sun is beaming in here and there's a lot of sunlight impacting this. So one of my other goals was to try to make this area a little bit more comfortable for the cats. And the way I was looking at accomplishing that was adding in this tree so that it would cast a shadow on this location. So across the board, we've added color, we've added some interest, we've added some shade, and we've also created some plants that will make this building very inviting. So moving on to our next slide, looking at this area through here. So in this drawing, I've shown one type of plant, which is the Peruvian daffodil. There's a couple others that would be really good to have in here. One of those would be amaryllises. Typically people know these for being forced in Christmas, but they actually bloom normally in summertime. It's a hardy plant. The foliage on it is nice, and of course the blooms are absolutely amazing. Another one is Peruvian daffodil. Same thing, beautiful blooms in the summertime, striking foliage in the rest of the year. Same thing right here, this is also a Peruvian daffodil. Gladiolus. Gladiolus were my bulb epiphany. I was growing these in our fields for using in jobs, and my office manager said, hey, let's cut those and bring them in the office. I thought, sure, okay. Little did I understand how well this flower like this will brighten up an inside office. So whenever I'm describing inviting, all of these are cut flowers, which right there at the entry to the Humane Society, just take a simple jar or vase, whatever fancy you want to get. Whenever these are in bloom, cut them, put them in there. It will brighten up the entry to the Humane Society. One more shot there, Peruvian daffodil. All right, in terms of this shade-producing tree making life better for the cats, the obvious plant to put here, since you already have crepe myrtles, would be another crepe myrtle. But there's some other choices for that. Also, right now you've got a gravel pathway through here. One thing that you can do that would make that a little bit smoother would be to use crush run. And the next slide will show you an example. This is an example of crush run. Particularly once you run a packer over this, it becomes a lot smoother. Another option, this is a little bit more expensive, but this is slate. We could also put a layer of slate over the existing gravel. Looks a lot more attractive. The only negative on this, it comes from Northwest Georgia, so it costs a lot more. In the design, I had also talked about adding in some flagstone boulders, and this is an example right here of what those flagstone boulders look like. Going back, that's these guys right here, and we have a number of them that pretty much look exactly like what you see in that photo, but it's a interesting feature, and I figured the cats would find it pretty interesting too. So this is an example of a crepe myrtle. I'm not sure what color you guys have, but everyone sort of knows what a crepe myrtle is, but had it in here just in case. Another plant that would be really nice for casting shade on the cats would be redbud. Vitex is another one. This is a great one for attracting nature, butterflies, hummingbirds. It will attract bees, but the bees are more interested in the nectar on this than stinging people. And I put that to the test numerous times by walking up to this tree while there's bees around it, shaking it, never been bit yet. This is Zuzhou loropetalum. It blooms like this in the summertime. The rest of the year, it is an evergreen with maroon foliage. And lastly, this is serviceberry. And all of these are some plant choices for that area that's casting shade on the cat area. But this is serviceberry in the springtime. This is an ancient one. I have not seen one of these this big before, but I guess it can get that big eventually. And one of the interesting things about serviceberry, it has the color of a Japanese maple in the fall as well. So you sort of get two for the price of one out of that. In this location, right beside the cat area and the air conditioner, I just put more boulders in here. This is a place, again, for cats just to sort of hang out. I assume they like soft surfaces, and I would recommend maybe putting some mulch in there. You could dress it up with iris. I'll show you what those look like in a little bit. And then for the aesthetics, I've trimmed it with creek rock through here, and then this is egg rock through here. The beauty of this material is it doesn't need to be mowed. We put weed cloth down that will reduce the amount of weeding. It doesn't need water either. So the materials that I put into this, the goal of this is to be extremely low maintenance for y'all. So this is what iris looks like in the spring. It too could be brought in and used as a cut flower. I don't have a photo of ginger lily, but this is in bloom in the summertime, and it's somewhat blooming right now. Again, a great flower to bring inside at your entry. This is a fragrant flower, and it will really make the entry to the Humane Society very inviting. Just so you know what egg rock looks like, this is a photo of egg rock. My foot's in it for a sense of scale. This is a photo of creek rock, and again, there's my foot. And you can see through here, this is an example of a smoother crushed pathway, and then you can see how the rock interplays with that and creates aesthetic appeal. Examples of some of the boulders that we could use, the fieldstone boulders that is. And then some other plants that could go well in here that would be very, very low maintenance. There's elephant ear, like what you see here, the colocasia version of an elephant ear. There's ornamental onion, allium, and then there's alocasia, which is just a really interesting, dramatic, and striking elephant ear as well. But so there's some other plants that I think could work out well up against this stone wall and just make it more of a striking and interesting area. So that is an overview of my ideas on this location. If you find these to be agreeable, let me know, and I will work on getting a price tag on this for you. But again, the goals were aesthetics, ease of maintenance, inviting, and cat friendly. And that is what I've looked to accomplish through doing this design for you. Thank you so much. Corey with Creative Habitats Landscaping.